So what does home mean to you? This idea of home is so personal and individual, and yet we use it as though we all mean the same thing. I don't think that we do. I think each of us has this own internal idea of what home means, and it conjures image for many of us from our childhoods. I don't know if you had the door jamb with all the pencil markings for how tall the kids were as they grew, or remember having to be home by the time the street lights were on, or what it was like when the whole family was there for the holidays. This idea of home is something that lies really deep within all of us, but it's different for all of us, which is one, why it's so important when you're buying a home with someone to be able to have some honest, open discussion about what it means. What I found after years of helping individuals and families buy houses is this idea of home is something that we all need to explore and understand. Most importantly, you can't buy a home. You have to create it. It's up to you and your family and those that live there to turn a house into a home. It's not the box. And I think this is where a lot of people go wrong. They're looking for the most lovely house, thinking that that makes the best home. Home is more of a feeling, more of a way of life than it is a house. The box is important. Don't get me wrong. Lovely houses are a pleasure. And there are some beautiful homes, and it's really seductive to look at nicer and nicer houses and imagine how great life would be there. But home and the feeling that we all seek when buying a home really has more to do with the feeling that you have when you're there. And that's more about relationships. That's more about events, activities, the experiences that you create in your life. It's also really important to bear in mind that with that beautiful house comes a financial obligation. So when you're choosing a home, when you're discussing what priorities matter, don't be too wrapped up in this idea of dream home. Step back and think dream life and decide where home fits in the whole scope of your life. If you didn't have as big a financial obligation, how would that impact your life? Would you have time to volunteer or more time with family? Go camping with the kids? Perhaps you want to start a business at some point. The decision you make when you buy a home comes with that debt, and that limits options down the road. So important when you're buying a house to consider the choice you're making and its long-term impact. That feeling of home really has less to do with how big the house is and how much granite and stainless there might be. How home feels has more to do with how you feel about your life at any given point. It's remarkable how forgettable a house is. Once you've sold it and moved, it really doesn't play that big of a role in the memories that you have. It's the people, the events, the experiences you have while you're there. The house is important. It's where you live your life. But it doesn't take precedence over your life. When it's time to buy a house, step back and think bigger. Think about the quality of life you're looking to create for you and your family.